Hey, it's Ted McGrath. So I want to share with you how to present powerfully from the stage, webinars or podcasts today, and how to do it without stage fright and how to do it so you're in good communication with your audience. So number one, I just got back from Scotland. I was doing a one-man play there where I do a 65-minute story on my life and I play a bunch of different characters from the stage. So I did 14 different shows over the course of 3 weeks. And I learned something after 2 decades of speaking from the stage and after 7 years of doing this play. Number one, when I get out on stage, I actually plant my feet so that I'm confronting the audience. Now, this may sound like not a big deal, but if you're a brand new speaker, when I first started speaking, I literally would walk back and forth and I could never confront the audience. So my first talk ever at 22 years old, I was literally pacing back and forth, and I couldn't look at the audience and it was terrible. And actually that night was a semi-success, even though I wasn't that good. So if you plant your feet, you're confronting the audience and then you're ready to talk to them. The second thing I do is I actually communicate out. So there's a habit sometimes with speakers where when they start talking, they literally are talking to themselves in their head and their communication doesn't go anywhere. So I make sure when I get on that stage, I'm projecting out, particularly if I'm in a seminar room and there's hundreds of people. I got to make sure that I get my message to the back row as well. So that's one of the second things I do. The third thing that I do is after I've communicated out, I start communicating to people in the audience. Like I look at people and I confront them. Now, this is a little bit of a big deal too, because when you're speaking, sometimes if you just walk out on stage and start looking at people, it's awkward and you don't have your feet planted or your confront in yet to start doing that. So you might forget your lines or you might just not be as powerful. So after I've communicated out, I then start looking at people in the actual room and I get in communication with them. The next thing I do is when I obviously deliver what I'm going to talk about today. So for example, if the headline of my talk is, hey, today I want to talk to you about how to present powerfully and confidently from the stage so that you can captivate and inspire your audience. So if that was my talk, the first thing I would do to get in communication with people is I would say, how many of you have ever walked out on stage and had a little bit of stage fright before? And people's hands would go up in the room. Now, a few would go up because people don't want to admit it. It's like, come on. How many of you have been out on stage and you've had stage fright before, right? And they raise their hands. Now that breaks the ice, right? Because as a speaker who's teaching about that completely breaks the ice for the audience, okay? So people's hands start to go up. How many of you feel like you have a life story to tell, but you kind of get confused which story to pick? And you're like, I don't know where to start, and I don't know if my life story even matters. How many of you have experienced that before? Come on, put the hands up. And people put their hands up. So I get in communication with the audience by asking them questions where they have to participate. And so once you do that, you really get to a place to where you're in communication with people and they're inspired to be there in the room and you don't have any nerves because you're actually talking to people. So it's really important to do these things and I hope it serves you. I'll be sharing a lot of tips on speaking coming through the coming weeks. And if you haven't attended my event, Speak to Millions, that's coming up in the future as well. So you should go attend that. Okay, cheers.